You know, if there is one tech category that I haven't fully delved into, but honestly should at this point, it would be gaming audio. Because with more and more people out there, like yourselves, playing and streaming your games at home, sometimes bouncing from room to room on different screens or even devices, audio equipment, likewise, has had to adapt and become more multi-purpose, more multidisciplined. And part of the solution to this, for better or for worse, has evolved into this growing trend, and you've probably seen this, of slapping soundbars on everything from TVs to PCs, and heck, even I've seen it on webcams nowadays. Which leads us to this, the Katana V2X from Creative Labs. You've probably heard of them. And like all Katana models before it, the V2X claims to be equally competent as part of your home theater setup as it is with its main mission of elevating your gaming audio experience. Can we believe those claims then? Let's see what the fuss is all about after these messages. The Katana V2X retails for an affordable $250, not bad for what you get. The size of the soundbar is actually identical to the older V2, which is 600mm long and 95mm deep and 62mm tall. The sub itself is supposed to fit into smaller spaces against the wall and your desk, for example, so it comes in a little bit narrower now at 116mm wide, 250mm deep, and a little bit taller, 423mm tall. I think the old one was 350. The power has also gone down a little bit, but as we'll talk about later on, it's still plenty loud. 90 watts and 180 watts peak. There's a ton of connectivity options, including Bluetooth 5.0, a little bit on the old side. There's HDMI with ARC support, optical in, aux in. There's also Creative's own XXFI output, which I like to call Sexify. USB-C 3.5mm output port in the front. A frequency range is from 50 all the way up to 20 kilohertz. There's also a built-in mic at the front. I think it's just one single one. They say it's beamforming, but it's serviceable in a pinch. But you're best to stick with an external mic or the ones on your headset. There's also really nice RGB lighting strip at the bottom. I really like this. There's tons of customization that you can do through the app as well. You can turn it off altogether. It's really tastefully done, so it's like high quality. The build is really nice. I really like that it's metal where it's meant to be metal and plastic where it's meant to be plastic. This thing is really well put together, although I find that the sub is a little bit on the chintzy side. It's wooden with a single thin cable, but I'm glad it's hidden most of the time, or most of the way anyway, so people don't see or the potential for damaging the cables is there. It's also wall mountable, and in the box comes a wall mounting kit as well, and also tons of cables. For the most part, the Creative app is actually pretty good, allowing you to customize most, if not all, the features and functions on the Katana itself, from the acoustic engine to the RGB lighting, the duration and the pulse types you can change. You can also turn up and down the gain of the sub. You can also turn on the sleep cycle and how long you want it to, or auto wake. My favorite part though is the EQ. There are a lot of presets, guys. There's your, usual music and movie and such, but there's a ton for games, which is ideal for a gaming hardware like this. So Creative included a lot of presets for like Call of Duty and Dota and Witcher and all that, but you can go in and tweak them if you still don't like them. So that's one thing that's really nice about it. One thing I do have to say is that I do have a love-hate relationship with the app. It's clunky, it's slow, sometimes it crashes, and worst of all is the EQ. I notice sometimes when I switch from my save preset to a pre-installed preset, like say if I have the EQ off on mine and there is a gaming EQ on the other one, if I come from the other one going back to mine, it still keeps the gaming EQ on, so I have to go back and switch it off. It's kind of weird, but those are little idiosyncrasies that I hope Creative fixes in firmware updates. At close to semi-close range, and we're talking about from sitting right in front of your computer monitor, for example, no hunching by the way, that's bad for you, to maybe 6 to 7 feet away from your TV in a small living room space, if that's how you set it up. I'll tell you what guys, at these ranges, your ears are treated to warm, composed details, good separation considering its size, and man, this thing pushes tons of power. It gets really loud without breaking composure too much. For me, anything above 35-40% was bordering on too much. It would fill this room pretty easily. If you want to lose roommates or get on HOA's bad side, by all means guys, crank it up. One game that I still enjoy so much is Spider-Man Remastered, and the theme song on this thing sounds so amazing guys. Plus the traffic and city sounds whizzing by as you web sling on your left and right channels and almost over your head sometimes, it's a really cool effect. The V2X, by the way, has also two other settings called Battle and Scout modes, which are awesome for multiplayer or FPSs like Doom Eternal or Call of Duty, where you can basically hear directionality and distance of gunshots, or even detect the slightest movement of opponents even before they show up on screen. That's pretty darn cool. Now, with all that said, I do want to clarify that the Katanas are neither reference grade monitors, nor are able to be tuned to sound like reference grade monitors if that's what you're looking for. So at the end of the day, it's all about whether you want satellite speakers for neutral SQ that take up really more desk square footage, or if you want something arguably neater like this. If you do decide to stick with the Katana, I found that any kind of reference work that I need done, say for video editing, can still be accomplished by plugging my go-to headphones into the front 3.5mm port. The fact that it's got its own amp and it's really good at its own right is a huge bonus, guys. Of course, sound is one thing, but one of the biggest clinchers for me is how well this thing fits on my desk. Right now, it sits right under my main screen and then barely spans the width of my multi-purpose keyboard, and the subwoofer neatly tucks right under my desk as well. It's almost as if creative designers read my mind by creating something that fits in what would normally be wasted unused space between the keyboard and the monitor. At this price, it's really nice to see that each speaker set, from the tweeter to the woofer and the sub, having their own individual amp, controlled by a central DSP. Creative honestly didn't have to do this sort of tri-amplification and could have just taken the easy and cheap way out, because guess what? In a system like this on the V2, something this small, the benefits are merely supple, but they definitely have a hand in things like reducing ambient feedback and amplifier overload, especially with something with this much power. It's a technical decision that I've come to expect from the minds of creative engineers, so kudos for sticking to your guns and not cheaping out on us. I can definitely appreciate any piece of kit that offers such a competent feature set in a soundbar form factor for such a competitive price. From the SQ to the gaming standard features, most of all, the compact dimensions, the build quality, the generous number of input-output ports, I could go on and on, guys. And it just goes to show how well thought out and confident this product line is. Well, actually, there are a few things I've come to dislike about it, so let's head into the negatives. The first negative might seem small, but over time it has started to wear me thin. Now imagine you've left your PC for a bit and everything goes to sleep, including your speaker. And then you decide to have some lunch, maybe some toast with avocado slices, plus some apple bacon on the side. Oh yes, that sounds delicious. And then when you return to continue your paused Witcher 3 session, but then you're wondering why Geralt's lips are moving, but all you hear is silence? Well, apparently the Katana takes its sweet bloody time waking up from slumber. Like mine takes 7 to 8 seconds, but I've seen some on Reddit waiting 10 to 12 seconds before audio resumes. Yeah, audio wake is a nice feature and all, just don't make us wait so long, guys. Let me tell you something, and I'm probably not gonna make friends with this next statement. Virtualized 5.1 and spatial audio effects, similar to ray tracing in games, still have some way to go to really convince me that it's truly the way forward. Now that being said, in movie and gaming modes on the V2X, the virtualization effect works pretty well as long as you sit absolutely centered and within reach of the drivers. That's normal stuff, everyone knows those rules. But somewhat surprisingly, the weakest category among all of them goes to music. No matter what I tweak, music just sounds disconnected for some reason, like there's always some kind of echoey reverb, just a little bit added to the mix. This is one area where I think Creative Labs could have built and certified the V2X with Dolby Atmos instead of trying to figure it out in-house. Maybe it's a costing at the end of the day, but then again, we all know that's a double-edged sword. Or katana. Cable management junkies would probably snub the Katana series for lacking at least some cable channeling in the rear, and perhaps more crucially, under the soundbar, because as it is, the unit sits way too low on the desk for any kind of meaningful cable routing, for example for my keyboard cable to pass right through, which is a crying shame. I fixed this problem by raising the height of the speakers with some speaker bumpers. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's not the most elegant or prettiest solution and they cost extra, but on the flip side, they do add some extra cushioning to help vibrations and also raise the soundbar closer to my ear height, for what it's worth. So here are my final thoughts, guys. If you're in the market right now for a compact gaming audio system soundbar which meets the 3P trinity, as I like to call it, of power, punch, and price, then the Katana V2X should be at or near the top of your shopping list. Now that being said, for the same price, Razer's Leviathan V2 Pro is newer and also offers beamforming spatial audio that dynamically tracks your head to provide the best virtualized surround effect, so you're not confined to sitting dead center all the time. But compared to the Katana, its overall SQ isn't as composed, its port selection is pathetic, and isn't as compact on your desk compared to this thing. If you do wish the V2X had more power to game in a larger space, there's always the slightly larger, more powered V2 that's like $80 to $100 more. So with all that said, I'm giving the Creative Labs Katana V2X a GearUP score of 8.7 out of 10, and this is how I broke it down to get to the final score. It's a fantastic piece of kit, by the way, for your gaming setup, guys, but in the next gen, I would like to see maybe head tracking as well, like the Leviathan V2, maybe Atmos support, but definitely keep the price. So if you've been on this channel long enough, guys, you probably noticed that my numbers could use a major dose of boosting. This is where you come in. I really need your help to get me to 50,000 and beyond. Please share this like crazy with people you know who might think might like tech or entertainment. This is the place to be. So thank you in advance for your help, guys. Please continue sharing this. Thumbs up, visit my playlist, and remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? The world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out.